Hello Gemini, welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle. We begin with this Hierophant from the Surrealist Tarot. And it's really interesting because this Hierophant isn't a person really, but like a building, an entity, something immobile, something fixed. And I have the sense that you've created a situation, or, well, I'm going to say yes, because we create the stuff that happens around us. Right, we attract things, we are attracted to. So you've created a situation that feels very fixed, that feels, set in stone in some way. And I think that it does have to do with rules. The Hierophant is often an official figure. Originally, this card was Il Papa, the Pope, right? This official kind of spiritual leadership that may involve a lot of rules, regulations, red tape. So there's something that you've been wanting to do or create, perhaps somewhere you've been wanting to go, but you feel obstructed by rules or regulations or, something in the physical world. And we begin with this Princess of Swords who is battling. Now she is battling in an air sense, in a perhaps intellectual sense. And so I don't think that we're dealing here with some sort of literal physical constraint. Perhaps like ill health or a car that's broken down so you can't go anywhere. This is a more, right, it's a more mental, intellectual sphere around rules. Now, interestingly, below this, we have the Empress and the Devil. And at the bottom of the deck is the Hermit. So we actually have Taurus and Venus, Capricorn and Virgo all showing up. And actually have the Hierophant is the Taurus card. The Empress is associated with Venus, but therefore with Taurus. So all the earth signs are showing up here for you. And I think you're really feeling, pressure, oppressed by this, what seems to be earthiness. What seems to be an obstacle in the real world, the 3D world, if we want to say, this world that we see. And then we get the Prince of Discs. That's the Knight of Discs in the Thoth deck. And it is also associated with Taurus. So this is still more Taurus energy, more groundedness. When what you really want, right, you really want this Sun energy and this Knight of Swords energy, which is yours. The ability to move, to do what you want. And then the Chariot too. Somewhere you want to go, something you want to do. Maybe even somebody you want to be with, perhaps. And it seems like you're being obstructed at every turn. That there is some sort of structure in place that is blocking you. Now, interestingly, from an astrological perspective, Saturn has just turned direct in Pisces. That's 0 Pisces. And that is square Gemini. So maybe this is contributing to this feeling that you have. And Mercury has moved into Sagittarius. This really fiery, let's go sign. Sign of just do it. So you may be feeling a real push to do whatever it is, or go wherever it is. And at the same time, there's this constricted feeling. So what we have now is gentle force. I'm sorry, Gemini. But consistency, persistence, patience, the long game. Oh. Not really, none of those words are words that I would associate with Gemini. And maybe you think you can't do it. At the bottom of this deck is this earth pulsing. And today this feels like you feeling stuck to the bottom, right, to earth. When I did the Capricorn reading, we also talked about gradual change. And that maybe Capricorn had tried in the past to make changes radically. And that hadn't really worked out. And that maybe the way to go was to do a more gradual shift. And that seems to be a suggestion here. Because then we have this Clear Waters card. Clear vision, confirmation, right timing, opportunity. And it is also a gentle card. A card kind of inward looking, of contemplation, of allowing a kind of ripple effect to happen. So rather than you charging through the water, that you just, throw in a single stone and it ripples out for you. And then we have this Lady of the Lake. New beginnings, something is about to happen. And she is also, right, the Lady of the Lake calls up ideas of right timing, of being ready for something. Arthur doesn't receive Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake until he is ready. And this may be both you as well as circumstances. So it's entirely possible that things are still falling into place in some way. But I think it's mostly a question of perspective. Because then we get this Hirith card, and I may be butchering that. Longing for home. Now it says homesick for the stars, but I don't think it's actually about that. I think it's about standing here and being able to see the bigger picture. Being able to see how things are arranged, how things are unfolding, to see more clearly. You know, what's coming up for me is a scene from The Hobbit. So Bilbo and the dwarves have been trudging through Mirkwood for a really long time. And they see no end in sight. So they send Bilbo up into the tallest tree to see, you know, to get a better picture. Now, unfortunately, they're in a valley. So Bilbo doesn't see the truth, that they're actually not that far from the edge of the forest. So this is, right, like really getting onto high ground so that you can see properly, that you may not be constrained in the way that you think you are, or that the constraints, like the forest, are coming to an end. So we have this Queen of Pentacles, more earth energy. And today this feels a little overly introspective. Being a little too internally focused, a little too specifically focused. And that can happen to us, right? The world shrinks down. I've certainly had this experience where it shrinks down and the possibilities kind of disappear. You're just in your own tiny space. You can't imagine, right? You have trouble imagining things being different because you're really focused on the immediacy of what is. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Swords. So more confirmation that this feeling of stuckness, this feeling of restriction, is in the mind. That it's largely created by your perspective. And then there's a star, and this is so interesting to me today, because she's not coming out as usual, as, you know, this healing, lovely energy, but as somebody who has just, it's like she's kind of doing busy work, right? Like dig the hole, fill the hole kind of work with these pitchers of water. So again, this over-identification with some particular aspect of life, over-concentration on what appear to be the obstacles or the restrictions that are holding you in. And then the Three of Swords. maybe, you know, sending your mind into the past, remembering old hurts or remembering the way things went wrong on previous occasions. And then there's the King of Wands, who again, right, is this sense of impatience, right? The King of Wands always looks as if he's about to rise out, right, rise off this throne and go. And it may be that you've even been feeling a little impatient with yourself, that perhaps you've been a little critical of yourself, that it's kind of a combination, A, of blaming outside circumstances. This thing is stopping me. But also perhaps blaming yourself. Why can't I just overcome it? Why can't I, you know, just, why am I not good enough at these earthy things to deal with these earthy restrictions? But then we get Death, who is, I think, the first sort of advice card, I guess. I mean, from here on, actually, is sort of advice and encouragement. And Death actually appears at the bottom of the Surrealist deck when I was finished shuffling. And under that is the Ten of Wands. Oh, and look, I just saw the Eight of Swords. So this sense of all of this weight, right? This is a very sort of weighted Death card, right? She's all encased in something. But this Death is not. This Death is free to move, to transform the situation. And firstly, transform it in the mind, which is the most important place for any transformation to happen. And so then we get the Witch of Earth. And this is a very different idea. This is someone who does not see the earth as an obstacle or something that is heavily fixed or immovable or unchangeable. This is somebody who works with the earth in a magical way, who is in a collaborative relationship with Earth. So this is someone who collaborates with Saturn, that physical energy, which is not as fixed as we have been taught to believe. And then we get the Witch of Air. Here, you, Gemini, the ability to work with the mind to create change. Ryan Crowley said that magic was creating change in accordance with the will. And that starts in your mind. And that's your domain, Gemini. That is the place where you excel, where you really have the ability to shift. But it may be that you've kind of gotten spun out in that Eight of Swords energy, which is the danger of the quick and agile mind. And then this Four of Earth, magical stone circle, right, with these bees who are multidimensional. Right, this Four of Earth particularly today, seems like a portal. Like you could step in here and be transported somewhere else. That this is a magical circle. And then the Eight of Fire. And this is the first moment when other people really show up in this reading. Then maybe what would help, right, is to get out of your own head, to be with other people, and to be with other people physically for preference. Right, to experience that earthy aspect, to be with other people's animal bodies. To get out of that spun out headspace. So the official advice, Eight of Voices, the Eight of Swords, trapped, apparently, but right below this card is you, the Knight of Voices, and actually also the Knight of Pentacles. So there is all this mobile energy. Whatever this earthly stuff, oh, and then we have the Three of Materials. And actually, the Queen of Materials, and I'll stop there. Who's on the bottom? Oh, the Muse of Emotions. So, right, the mind is first, and then earth. And here, this kind of extra Gemini, Eight of Materials, Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Earth, in combination with the Queen of Voices. So, clarity, discernment, mental discipline, the embodiment of thought, right? The really noticing how different thoughts affect your body. How different language affects your body. And from there, how different thoughts and different language affect the happenings around you. You know, I remember when I was first sort of learning more about this metaphysical reality, I was working in a place where I was one of the last people out. And I had to wait for all of the customers to leave before I could kind of close my part of things. And if it went too late, sometimes I would miss the last express train home, and it would take me longer to get home. And I discovered that when I was really irritable, that when I grumbled and complained and, felt really antsy and anxious, often it took people longer to leave. Or, something would happen with the train and I would still miss you know, the last express. Or something else would happen and there would be a delay. There was always, right, this consequence to my anxiety and my, you know, feeling pissed often. But then on those nights when I was relaxed and I didn't worry about it, and I just, you know, allowed myself to be in the space, in the moment, invariably everything went well. People would leave, I would close easily, there would be no delays, I'd catch the train I wanted to catch. And this, right, this was the first example. So I think it's really useful to pay attention to that stuff. You know, what is your experience like out in the world when you start your day with particular thoughts? How does that affect not just your own body, but the events and the people that you encounter in your day? And we may all know these things, right? We know these things if we've been in this spiritual community for a while, but I think that you can forget it. Right? That old training that, you know, that things are stuck and that the physical world is what it is and that stuff is random is in there, and it will, right, it will run like a program. So, right, getting your mind in order. And then here again, we have this group, this going and spending time with other people, mingling your earth with other people's earth. Earth in a group, bodies in a group, and doing it in fun ways, right? Getting together with people, you know, maybe having a dinner party, or you know, going to the park together, or right, doing whatever you do with other people. As a way both to get you out of your own head space, expose you, right, to other perspectives, perhaps, and to have fun. Gemini. So, I don't want to say, well, maybe I do want to say a little bit, that the restriction is in your head. I mean, it may actually seem physically real. That there is something, I don't know, a lack of money, perhaps, you know, a particular job, a particular person, something. Some rule about what you can and cannot do that appears to be keeping you in place and not allowing you to do what it is you want to do. But if you can change your thinking, and actually I didn't show him earlier, but underneath the Empress and the Devil is the Hanged Man. So that ability to change perspective, right? This death. To transform things by transforming how you think about them, how you see them, right? Getting that bigger perspective rather than maybe in the tight space that you've got yourself in. So I wish you all the best, Gemini. I hope that this works out for you and that you find your way through. And I will see you next time. So long.